Hello YouTube, hello Facebook, hello the world overall. My name is Morgan Gavin, and let's get into what's news today, taken from the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street is tallying the winners and losers in the post-Brexit turmoil, and one theme has emerged is that computers have got it right and humans have got it wrong, which means Skynet is closer than ever to becoming a fucking reality. We will have Terminators going after everyone with the first name John and the middle name Connor, or the last name Connor, or maybe they'll just sit around watching Roseanne reruns. Who the fuck knows anymore? Stocks rose worldwide after tumbling on the UK's vote and demand for havens eased. The Dow climbed 269.48 points to 17,409.72 points. So essentially this means that things are starting to even out a little bit, because when the Brexit happened, the Dow fell more than 600 points. 600 points means a whole bunch of shit is going to be affected in ways that no one really understands. Okay, so VW's agreement to pay $14.7 billion to settle emissions cheating claims won't end the scrutiny of automakers, U.S. officials say, which this means is kind of a good thing, because if you're cheating emission tests, that means your cars are putting out more pollution than they should be allowed to, because that's always been a problem. So the lower emissions are, the less pollution that's being released into the air, and the more hairspray everyone can use, and going back to the 80s style of hairstyle, where everything was essentially just a fucking helmet. Okay, Fidelity Investments plans to cut prices on more than 24 funds that track stocks and bond indexes. So those indexes are actually lists of stocks that are available for purchase and everything else. Of course, I could just be bullshitting on this. Who the fuck knows? We are rolling on through this because I have very little time to get to it. Okay, the ECB's Draghi urged central banks to better coordinate policies to confront ultra-low inflation. Think, ow, that was fucking weird. Okay, think of that actually hurt. Think of a bike tire, okay? It's kind of flat, it's everything else, but ultra-low inflation means that over time, it'll increase. So it's kind of how prices of everything are pretty much increasing on a day-to-day basis, or a month-to-month basis, depending on how fluctuations in the stock market affect. Okay, next up, the US GDP was revised upward to a 1.1 annual rate for the first quarter, but signs of vulnerability still persist. So the GDP is the global domestic produce or product or productivity, so otherwise shit is weird, but it still has vulnerabilities, which means that if stupid people like Donald Trump decide to go after those vulnerabilities, he could in fact affect the US GDP in a negative fashion. Hopefully there aren't any spiders here, because fuck, we spent a whole shitload of time. Moving on. Okay, Lending Club restricted investors from exiting one of its funds and said it would cut 12% of its workforce, which essentially means that shit's going wrong. They are preventing people from leaving for whatever reason, because they need those investors to keep on doing what they're doing. And they said they would cut 12% of their workforce, which essentially means a whole shit ton of people are getting laid off, because a bunch of grumpy old people in suits are moving on. Honeywell CEO Coat will step down at the end of March and be succeeded by Operating Chief Adam Cizik, which means that again, something happened to the point where Coat was essentially embarrassed by one thing or another, and oh fuck you, spider, I will stomp the shit out of you regardless if I'm wearing shoes or not. But essentially it's that analogy. Moving on up. Okay, so IKEA is recalling 29 million chests and dressers in the U.S. after injuries and deaths due to furniture tipping over. IKEA, you've become the new Grim Reaper. There's nothing more to say on that. It's actually sad. Okay, moving on to worldwide news. Oh my giddy god. Istanbul's busiest airport was rocked by a terrorist attack that killed at least 36, the deadliest string of attacks in the city this year. I have nothing to say about that. Terrorism is always a horrible thing that happens, and I'm just kind of over the whole entire fucking depressing bullshit. Moving on. European Union leaders told Cameron at the UK Premier's final summit that there would be no special deals for former members of the bloc. So essentially, there's a whole shitload of drama and a whole lot of pissing contests going on regarding the whole Brexit thing and all the decisions. Okay. The UK Treasury Chief ruled himself out as a candidate to be Conservative leader and Prime Minister, which essentially means that he's like, I'm done with this bitch, I'm out. Okay, the Labour Party leader refused to resign despite a no-confidence vote from his own lawmakers. Way to stick to your guns after, your own lawmakers were like, you need to get the fuck out. And you're like, fuck it, I'm ruling this bitch, so we're moving on. Trump pledged to withdraw from the U.S. Trump pledged. Donald Trump news. Donald Trump, make America stupid again. Okay. Donald Trump pledged to withdraw the U.S. from global trade pacts as president in a rejection of long-standing Republican orthodoxy. So essentially, he's going to make the country, in his eyes, stronger, which doesn't make any fucking sense by withdrawing from trade. This is why he's not going to be president. He's just a running joke that people have allowed to continue on for as long as they have. Okay, moving on. A House panel's Benghazi report outlined a few new criticisms of Clinton, but highlighted what it called an array of administration failings. So essentially, a House panel's just being a little bitch, just like it's the TV show it's named after, because House was kind of a little bitch to all his, co-workers and everything. It was like, it's never glaucoma, and everything else. So, fuck that. She's gonna be Madam President anyway, so who the fuck cares? Okay, the Supreme Court's term disappointed conservative hopes for long-sought wins across the legal spectrum. Well, that's gonna happen sooner or later, okay? Conservatives, you can't really win them all, you can't really lose them all. It's kind of a give-take deal. Okay. Lebanon's army raided Syrian refugee camps a day after suicide bombing struck a border town. So, again, shit's going down. I can't really focus on the depressing shit because I've done too much of that in the past. Moving on. But I'm terribly sorry to the Syrian refugees that are negatively affected by this, that had nothing to do with the suicide bombing, because in a way, the Syrian refugees are now kind of becoming the new thing to complain about. It's weird. It's weird. Okay. Senate Democrats blocked a Zika funding measure amid a partisan rift over some of its provisions. Come on! Really? Really, Senate? Really? Zika virus is now is quickly becoming the number one way for mothers to have that weird little pinhead thing from American Horror Story. It's a horrible disease, really. So if you're funding a cure for Zika virus, that essentially means that the mosquitoes, which are transferring the virus, will eventually be wiped out. Simple as that. And last but not least, died Pat Summitt, 64, led Tennessee's Lady Vols to basketball records. Rest in peace, Pat. Rest in peace. And now, a headline to bring the mood back up, because I'm sick of talking about that. Pampered dogs of chumped mouths cope with barricades, trash, and lots of chanting. What the fuck? A And then it's immediately followed by Trump vows to undo trade pacts because Trump's an asshole. He's a big asshole and he likes shitting on everybody. Well, I'm Morgan Gavin. I really have to get ready for work, and peace be with you, bitches. And as always, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, I will see you, like a beast, in the next video. Peace. Boop, 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 boop.